So here's a quick overview on how you can use a gate to remove noise. Of course, we often use other applications and softwares for this, but sometimes a simple gate is the best method, and of course it won't affect the material that you're trying to keep, but only the noise that you're trying to get rid of. So first of all, I'm just going to get a gate, and I'm just going to use the kilohertz gate here. You can pretty much use any gate. This is the free version gate, I think, so use that. And if I turn it off and play the footsteps here, then we can obviously hear that there is a sound in between that we're going to try and get rid of. Essentially, one of the things to think about also when we work with gates is the distance of something. So if I zoom in here on this sound here, and if I move this back so it's easy to see, you can see here it's a starting point. These are seconds, so actually this sound here is about between 200 and 250 milliseconds. And this can be useful to know when you're working with gate, because often the hold parameters and release parameters are set in milliseconds. So in this case, I'm simply going to set this to around 200 and I'll turn off the release, and I'm going to play this back. So we can obviously see that that is a little bit much, so it's closing but it's holding the gate open for too long. So let's move this back a bit. And we can raise the threshold a bit. Like that. And then I'm going to smooth out the end there, increasing the release. So here we've got a little bit of an issue here, so maybe just adjust the threshold maybe. Something like this, try the whole thing. So now we got pretty short footsteps, so we can obviously maybe try and increase the length of it by just adjusting the release so we get a longer fade out. So that's starting to sound quite natural. Just listen to the original. And then with the gate. Cool, so that seems okay. So then what I can do is I can simply bounce this. So I'm going to bounce in place. So here we have our ready footsteps. So if you're working with a game, we can obviously split this up. So I'm going to set these ones it's a little bit too much. I might have to do this manually. I think that's okay. Split these ones, and I'm just gonna manually split this one and that one here, and then add some fades. You don't need this one in the beginning. Separate this first, and then I'm gonna add a short fade on all of them. Adjust the one in the end there, so I had a little bit of. And a similar thing with this one. Cool, that seems okay. So now if I'm working with middleware or a game, I can simply keep working with these, maybe add some compression to them, or maybe work with EQ or something like that. Or I can just simply export them and try them out in the game. So sometimes you can't use a gate with a full range, especially if you use something like a dialogue where a lot of the words have quite a long fade in, and then you might want to use your gate as a downward expander, which means that the range isn't going to fully closed. So I've got a vocal here.
No. Yes. Huh?
And there's obviously lots of room sound, but if I turn on the gate and I set the range to 100%, and then I'm going to set the threshold so we don't have any noise.
No.
Like that. Then we'll hear that some of the words will get cut off, and especially this one here. So this word here.
Yes. Huh?
So we can hear that that's obviously a problem. We might be able to fix some of it with the threshold. I'll do something like that.
Yes. Yes. Huh?
But ha here is still an issue. So the way that I'm going to try and compensate for this is to essentially change the range here. So I'm going to turn this down. And now we can hear that we get some of the noise back, but it's not as bad as it was before.
Huh?
And now if we adjust the release here and maybe turn down the threshold a bit,
Huh?
and then compare with the original.
Huh? Huh?
So it's a little bit too, let's try it again, turn down the threshold a little bit.
Huh? Huh?
And then
Huh? Huh?
maybe you can increase the downward expansion a little bit more.
Huh?
So we can hear now that the beginning is pretty okay, but there's a little bit of an issue there in the end.
Huh?
So it's kind of dipping quite quickly there. So I'm gonna probably increase the release and turn down the hold a little bit so the release works more quickly.
Huh?
Let's try and make it a bit longer.
Huh?
So maybe that was a little bit too long.
Huh?
We can also try and increase the hold and set the release shorter.
Huh? Huh?
So we still have a little bit of a fade there in the end, and because the noise is constant, there will always be those kind of noticeable fades. But if we imagine that this is part of some music in a film or something similar, then I think we'll be okay. And this way we will have reduced noise. So if I play this back to the original,
No.
and then compared to what we have now.
No. Yes. Huh?
So that's definitely an improvement, and then you can play around with the hold and with the release until you have a result that you're happy with.